Hello, I'm Patty Fleming, the VP of Public Relations at the Edmonds Toastmasters Club in Edmonds, Washington. Today we are doing an interview of Darrell who has been with Toastmasters for 8 years. Now, you joined Toastmasters 8 years ago, but you actually were with Toastmasters before and you rejoined. Can you tell us why you joined and then why you rejoined?
I'm what I call a boomerang member. I was a member of Toastmasters back around 1990 at the suggestion of my broker. I was in real estate at the time, and he thought it would be a great skill set to have. I had been a theater major in college, so getting into Toastmasters seemed like a good fit for me, and I enjoyed that outlet for speaking and expression. My job ultimately became so busy I had to give up Toastmasters for quite a long time. But in 2011, I was reading a book on presentation skills, and I realized that Toastmasters was a great venue to continue to develop my presentation skills. Fortunately, the same club, Edmonds Toastmasters, was still here. It's close to home, and I came down, was immediately met by a group of very warm people. I saw some high quality speeches, and I joined that day. And that was in 2011 that I rejoined.
Oh, that kind of answers my next question of why you joined this club. You want to add anything to that?
Edmonds Toastmasters is one of the longest running clubs continuously in Puget Sound area. And there's a certain tone and a warmth to it. I think part of it comes from the venue, being in downtown Edmonds at a pancake house, people having breakfast. The club has a tradition of buying breakfast for new members, which I was very impressed when I came back that people were buying me breakfast on my first visit. And there was a lot of warmth and no pressure. People made it clear that they would be here to help me, but it was my choice to join, and it was my choice to choose how quickly or slowly I wanted to approach this journey.
Can you tell us a little bit about your journey in the last 8 years?
Before I do that, when I rejoined in 2011, I restarted the education program, and the first speech was my icebreaker. I decided to focus my icebreaker on what I had been doing for those almost 20 years between 1990 and 2011. What I've been up to for the last 20 years. And in developing that speech, I realized how much that initial experience in Toastmasters had benefited my career overall, specifically in regards to giving effective feedback. When I became a manager in the 2000s and began to grow people as their supervisor, I innately drew on my experience of being a speech evaluator. So I would stress to the people as an employee what they were doing correctly and what I liked about their performance. I would give them the needed feedback of what they needed to do to become better at their job or more effective. But I would always stress how valuable they were. And that's an evaluation technique that I learned in Toastmasters, and it's why I was effective as a manager. Toastmasters does give people the ability to develop their speaking skills, but it also, and I don't think we talk about this enough, it develops the ability to give really effective feedback, and that is an essential skill to have in any career.
I've heard you do a lot of speeches. What's one of your most memorable speeches that you have given?
The most memorable speech, one of my favorite speeches that's close to my heart, is Potato Surprise. Potato Surprise is a story about failure. Potato Surprise is what I called my first attempt at creating potato salad that did not turn out as planned and was barely edible. The reason why it's a favorite speech is because I didn't realize until I fully developed the speech and got a lot of feedback from it as I delivered it in speech competitions, that it was a microcosm of what was unique to my family of origin. And that is, in my family, what we do is we tell stories about our mistakes and collectively we laugh at them. My parents still tease me about Potato Surprise, and I laugh at their stories. As part of that speech, I talked about my dad putting his hand into a cake by accident when he thought it was a towel. And he didn't tell anyone that it was him that put his hand in the cake and ruined the cake. We still tease him about that to that day. When people come to me and they say, well, what do I do? What do I talk about for a humorous speech? My advice is go for your biggest mistakes that you've made and turn it into a funny story, because that's where the humor is. And in my family, we have this culture where when we get together, we share our most humbling experiences and we laugh at them together. And that has bound us together as a family. And I didn't realize that not a lot of families do that. I'm grateful that I have been in a family that does, and still to this day does that. And that's part of my message to other Toastmasters and why I deliver the speech, is being able to laugh at yourself is a blessing. And I'm glad that I was taught that very early on.
Thank you, Darrell, for sharing your journey with us.
Oh, it was a pleasure to be here, Patty.
Thank you for joining us, and please come down and visit us every Friday morning from 7 to 8. We'd love to have you, and we will give you your first meal free. Thank you.